We did see the greatest level of violence that we've seen in these protests since they started in the middle of October yesterday. All week, this had been building up. Protesters said on Tuesday they were launching a week of rage in reaction to the fact that a government still hasn't been formed in the country yet. And so we saw throughout the week the smashing of banks, we saw lots of fiery roadblocks. And yesterday, the day started off quite quietly. And then a group of protesters decided they were going to try and get into Parliament Square. Now, that square has been blocked off by riot police pretty much since the beginning of those protests, blocked off with barbed wire and permanent metal barricades, and there are riot police staffing it all day. And when that happened, almost immediately riot police responded by firing water cannon at them. Now, that's been quite rare as a reaction in these protests, and that angered protesters who say, of course, that Parliament belongs to us and the politicians aren't using it as they should. That's their argument. And so many more gathered, and they kept trying to get in. From that point on, this was about 5 p.m. yesterday, the violence really escalated. We saw an enormous amount of tear gas shot, clouds of it all over downtown Beirut for 4 or 5 hours as clashes continued yesterday. And one of the things that's been happening now is that those riot police are not using the tear gas correctly. And there's many images yesterday of them actually shooting tear gas canisters directly at protesters. Now, that is illegal under international law, if that can be proven. Human Rights Watch is looking into it at the moment because, of course, if those canisters are fired directly rather than into the air, the actual canister becomes a weapon. And many injuries caused by those canisters yesterday. Also, rubber bullets were being used as well, and many injuries from those as they were being fired point blank, sometimes at people running away, very bloody injuries, people's mouths bleeding. One person may have lost their sight. They're in hospital today. So really a huge escalation in injuries. The Lebanese Red Cross was at its highest level of alert all night. They said that they treated 140 people at the scene and transported 80 of those people to hospital. So many injuries resulting. Also many injuries on the side of the riot police. And it really was an ongoing battle all around downtown Beirut last night. Usually we have been seeing isolated clashes in certain areas and then they calm down. But last night just kept going, and huge rage from protesters. They say that they are going to gather again today from 11 a.m. at Parliament Square to show the government and the riot police that they're not going anywhere. We'll see whether that happens or whether they're cowed by what happened yesterday.